going on? It's your boy Nick the Thing here, and today I'm doing my first build video. So on this video we're going to talk about a werewolf build. So let's just get straight into it. First we're going to talk about the skills. So the skills that we went with is, well, not skills, but the morph that we went into with the werewolf is Berserker. So the reason why I picked Berserker over Pack Leader is because of the light attack, the extra bleed damage that it does is, for me, it's 12k, and it's a lot of extra bleed damage. Pack Leader has the two dire wolves, you know, they're pretty cool and everything, and the white wolf, it's the great white wolf, but I mean, I'm making this build for PvP and running with a group, so if your pack leader dies in PvP and it's resurrected, the wolves, its dire wolves don't come back with it. But as Berserker, you still do that extra bleed damage. So that's one of the main reasons I went with that, is because it hits a lot harder. And once you go black, you never go back. And so also in PvP, it's all about, if you're running solo, you have to sustain in werewolf, you know, because werewolves, they do a lot of damage and you don't want to get caught with that 2-second snare if you get out of werewolf. So what I went with is the feral pounce. If you pounce from 10 meters away, adds 4 seconds to the duration of your werewolf. So if you pounce to one guy, wreck him, then you go to the next one, look at that, you got 4 seconds plus the damage you were taking from the other guy, go over another 4 seconds. You're really sustaining in werewolf a lot. So that's the reason why I picked the feral pounce. Next one I went with is Hircine's Rage. The reason why I went with this is because in werewolf you do a lot of damage and you want to increase that damage, and then with Hircine's Rage adds an extra 10% for 20 seconds. 10% weapon damage, I'll take it. Something that I'm here to do damage with. I'm not here to lollygag or anything, you know? So the next one is Rousing Roar. So it grants you major brutality to you and nearby allies, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 23 seconds. So with Rousing Roar and Hircine's Rage combined, that's 30% weapon damage. That's a lot. So you can make a werewolf build that's going to come out to over 4k, 4.55, even 5k weapon damage. But how does this sustain on that? We're going to go over that in a little bit. So that's the reason why I went with Rousing Roar, because the extra 20%. Now, when you go to Howl of Agony, the reason why I chose this one is because it deals 30% more damage to enemies that are feared. So if I go in, I do a feral pounce, and then right after that, I do a Rousing Roar that grants me major brutality by 20%. So I'm already increasing my weapon damage by 20%. I go in with Hircine's Rage, that's 10%, that's 30. Now they're set off balance, right? So now Howl of Agony, 30%. That's extra 60% more damage that you're doing to this person. So who can argue with that, you know? So in werewolf now, healing is, for me, I don't know about anyone else, but for me healing is an issue, because I'm a stamina character. I don't have a lot of magicka to just keep spamming Hircine's Rage. It's 4.4 magicka, that's a lot. Especially if you're not magicka. What do you have, 10k magicka? What are you going to use it twice? No. So that's why I went with Claws of Life. Heals you for 50% of disease damage done. I could have went with the Major Defile, which a lot of people do go with that, because the Major Defile, it prevents their healing a lot, and you can get a lot of damage done. But if you're in a Zerg kind of thing and you want to sustain, so the Claws of Life, if you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people with this thing, you got heals coming in from all over. So it's the reason why, especially you can use this in even PvE when you're running around, just as self-heals. That's why I went with this. So you got your passives here: increased stamina of heavy attacks by 100%, your blood rage, your savage strength right there, increase your weapon damage by 18%. It's a lot. So in PvE I do run with a pack of werewolves, and it's not often that I don't, but when I do, this passive comes in. It's like, man, it's perfect. That's basically what it is, because if you have 4 more werewolves in your group, you don't have to worry about devouring feral pounds. You don't have to worry about any of that, because you're an infinite werewolf now. So you're in PvP, you see like people coming, bam, 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 you got like 7 werewolves just pouncing on people. By the time that happens, they're already wrecked. But Call of the Pack, infinite werewolf. So these are the skill lines I've chosen and everything. These are the passives. Now we're going to talk about armor. So with my weapons, I know I should make my Maelstrom weapons gold, but I went with Maelstrom daggers. I could go with the axes, but the reason why I went with this, because when I'm not in Werewolf, the daggers do help with that weapon crit a lot. So my weapon crit without unbuffed right now is 70.5. That's because of the daggers, the passive that they have. So I run 1 precise, 1 sharpened. The Maelstrom daggers are important. You could run the axes for the extra bleed, but I'm not sure if these passives roll over onto Werewolf, because if they do, I'll run dual wield axes for that extra bleed, but I'm not sure if they do roll over. But that Maelstrom dagger, the extra 91 weapon damage, you got 2 of them, it's a lot. Just plus the special enchantment. So that's the reason why I went with the Maelstrom daggers. So now we got I went with a 2-piece Troll King with this. The Troll King adds 2% healing done, so that's whenever you use your roar. So then the second item piece is when you heal a friendly target, if they are still below 60%, their health recovery is increased by 1494 for 10 seconds. That's including your howl on yourself. If you say you're at 20%, you howl, you're still under 60%, your health recovery just went up by 1494. That's a lot. That's like that's extra heal right there, basically every second. 1494, and that's not including what your health recovery is now. My health recovery now is at 1084. So if that goes up, that's what is that? 2,500 health recovery. So that's every second. That's an extra heal. That's very important. And that's where it comes into the sustain as a werewolf, because I could go with that high weapon damage person, but I do want to sustain with being able to still do a lot of damage. So that the lot of damage part comes in with our Hunding's Rage. Everyone knows what Hunding's Rage is all about. 664 weapon crit, 933 maximum stat, another 664 weapon crit, and 288 weapon damage. So with my Hunding's Rage, I am running different traits on them. Not all one trait. I am running Infused on the bigger pieces, 1 impen on the belt, Divine's Hand, Infused Legs, Divine's Feet, because we got Divine's Helmet and we got an impen shoulder. So we are mixing it up, giving a little variety, but I mean, it's whatever works for you. You want to go all Divines, increase your Mundus Stone, go right ahead. I'll go over the Mundus Stone I'm using. But the one thing that it throws people off about my build right here is our 3-piece item, which is we're using Draugr Heritage. Now, Draugr Heritage, the reason why I went with 3 pieces is because it adds 4% heal and taken. That includes your howl. So 4% from Draugr Heritage and another 2% from your Troll King, that's 6% healing. So your howl is healing you for a lot more than it used to, an extra 6%. So now we do need a little more extra health in Werewolf, especially if you're using all medium armor. So that extra 1027 maximum health does help a lot. I didn't glyph my, enchant my jewelry yet. I'm still debating if I want more health recovery or if I do want to enchant them with more weapon damage. I'll get back to you guys on that. But as of right now, I'm kind of sticking to that health recovery because it will boost my heal when I'm underneath 60%. But the weapon damage is nice because fully buffed, I'm gonna come under just under 3k, which it still does a lot of damage in Werewolf. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So the food I'm using is the Dubious Cameron Throne. The Dubious Cameron Throne is like best in slot right now for all stamina characters. For your stamina recovery by 1319, your maximum stamina, and your maximum health. Because the werewolf skills do cost a lot of stamina, so you gotta be wise on how you use them. My stamina recovery right now is 1541, and each werewolf one costs over 2k. So you just gotta be wise on how you gotta weave in your light attacks and just be wise. So the Mundstone I'm using is the Shadow, increase your critical damage done by 14%. So when your werewolf crits, because right now I'm not in werewolf, 70.5%, that's a lot of crit, and that the Shadow Mundstone is adding an extra 14% damage done to those crit. You're doing a lot of damage there. I could go to the Thief for when I do go into Werewolf. It will increase my weapon crit, because the Werewolf does lower the weapon crit by a lot, maybe by 30% it's going to lower it, but it all evens out. So 64, I put all my points into stamina here, and now we're going to talk about champion points. So for champion points, we'll start with the red tree here. I put 10 into resistant, your critical resistant. Could go more, but I do want to focus more on hardy and elemental defender, because in PvP, all you have are just fucking sorcerers coming all over. You got gank Nightblades, Dragonites that don't fucking take any damage because all they do is hold up their shields. They're useless. Don't worry, because you're all getting nerfed by Morrowind. So in our tree here, 95, 95, we want to focus a lot on hardy because it reduces poison, because werewolves do take a lot of poison damage. As you see right here, take 25% more damage from poison attacks while in werewolf form. It's a lot, 25%. So you do want to focus on that hardy tree. The next one we're going to talk about is Warlord. Nothing really to talk about. Warlord, put 100 into it, reduce the stamina cost of spells and abilities, so that also talks about your werewolf abilities, so that does help. Mooncalf, increase your stamina recovery by 25%. Another thing, helps a lot, because our stamina recovery right now is 15 and change, and then we're going to boost it by 25%. Now for the blue tree. I put 100 into Mighty like any other Nightblade. Increase your physical, poison, and disease damage by 25%. Now you remember your werewolf does disease damage, so that Mighty increases it by 20%. And while with that disease damage, it also goes into Thaumaturge. Increase the effectiveness of your damage over time effects. So that includes your light attack, which is disease damage. And that just boosts it by 10%. It's perfect. 27 I put in there. Then I put 73 into Precise Strikes. Increase the damage and healing dealt by weapon criticals by 20.1%. Now, when our howls, so in PvP my howls are hitting people for 9.5, 10k. Well, here's your answer. We got all our buffs, which gives us, let's say, 60% extra damage done to the player after the buffs and the fear. Then we got right here 20.1% on the weapon crit, plus your Shadow Mundstone, which is 14%. So now you got 34%. 34% extra weapon critical damage. It's a lot. So that's why we're gonna hit so hard in Werewolf. a lot of the people look at the spreadsheet on your character and like, oh, those numbers aren't a lot. Well, they didn't really add in your champion points. They didn't add in your passives. This is just based on your armor, all numbers. They're not adding champion points. They're not adding any other things that you're running, you know, like your passives. So that's our champion points. Now we're gonna go into Werewolf, and I'm gonna show you what we are buffed up. So while in Werewolf, our weapon damage is 2884. Remember, that's not with our jewelry weapon damage enchantments. So I'm thinking about leaving it the way it is, because 2884 plus all that other those percentages that we would add on top of this, that's a lot. Our weapon crit went down by what, 34%? No, 24%. Not that bad. 46.5. That's basically every other hit that you're gonna do a crit. So our max stamina 35k. Health recovery is all going to stay the same. Our max stamina went up because of Werewolf. Our spell resistances, physical resistances, they all went up. I wish I had someone here. Oh, I'm not going to duel at 27. I wish I had someone here higher to show you that I could duel with, just to show you the sustain that I have with this Werewolf. The heals are a lot. And, the damage output is still a lot. See if we could go out and find something quick for you guys. Right there, 19k, but that was a little skeevy. Let's go to a troll. So what we're going to do, we're going to pounce, by attack, this. We're going to put on a bleed, and so our non-crit howls are hitting for 9.9 on a person. Let's take away half of that, that's 4, and then on a crit, oh, 18, another 18. So when our howls crit in PvP on a person, we're hitting them for over 9k. It's a lot of damage, especially for an ability that you have so much stamina with. You could just spam it on someone until they die. They're running, you just spam it. That's it. And that's not to mention, that's only one werewolf. When you're running in a pack, there's a lot of damage being dealt. So, this is my werewolf build, guys. Oh wait, not done yet. I want to show you how our our Draugr heritage comes into effect, and our Troll King comes into effect with our healing gun. So we're going to take a lot of damage right now, hopefully. Something else. Just need to get a lot lower. I want to get to about 20% where our burst heal, it does a lot. It doesn't bring us over 60% for our Troll King to activate, and then I will show you what our health recovery is after that. So our burst heal healed us for 11k. Now if we look, our health recovery is 3160. It's extra 3k heals right there. Then you got your Claws of Life. You don't have to worry about health sustain with this build. And that's it, guys. That's your health recovery, your sustain, your weapon damage. We're doing a lot here. Tell me what you guys think about this video. See you next time. Remember, it's your boy Nick the Thing here. How you doing?